On January 20th, 2025, President Donald Trump took decisive action on immigration. He signed a series of executive orders aimed at stemming the flow of illegal immigration across the U.S. Mexico border. These actions represent a significant escalation in his administration's approach to border security. They have ignited a firestorm of debate across the nation. The centerpiece of these orders is the declaration of a national emergency at the southern border. Citing an invasion of illegal immigrants, President Trump has ordered the deployment of U.S. troops to bolster border security. This move, reminiscent of his previous deployments, underscores the administration's commitment to a hardline stance on immigration. The emergency declaration grants the president broad powers to allocate resources and bypass congressional approval for funding. This has raised concerns among critics who see it as an overreach of executive power. They argue that the situation at the border does not meet the legal threshold for a national emergency. Supporters of the president's actions applaud his decisive leadership. They believe that the emergency declaration is necessary to address a crisis that has plagued the nation for decades. They argue that the influx of undocumented immigrants strains resources, fuels crime, and threatens national security. In a move that sent shockwaves through the international community, President Trump designated Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. This unprecedented step reflects the administration's view that these criminal networks pose a direct threat to the United States. It empowers the government to use a wider range of tools to target their activities. The designation allows the U.S. to freeze cartel assets, impose travel bans on members, and pursue criminal charges against those who provide them with material support. It also opens the door for military action against these groups, a prospect that has raised concerns about escalating violence and instability in the region. Critics argue that designating drug cartels as terrorist organizations is a dangerous overreach. They point out that these groups, while undeniably violent and criminal, lack the political motivations typically associated with terrorism. They fear that this move could blur the lines between law enforcement and military operations, with unintended consequences. Supporters of the designation argue that it is long overdue. They point to the cartel's vast drug trafficking operations, their role in fueling the opioid epidemic in the U.S., and their increasing use of violence and intimidation. They believe that this designation will provide law enforcement with the tools they need to dismantle these organizations and protect American citizens. In a move that has ignited a fierce constitutional debate, President Trump has announced plans to end birthright citizenship. This long-held principle, enshrined in the 14th Amendment, grants automatic citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status. The president argues that birthright citizenship has become a magnet for illegal immigration. He claims that pregnant women are crossing the border illegally to give birth in the U.S., thereby securing citizenship for their children. He has vowed to end this practice, which he calls anchor babies. Ending birthright citizenship would require a constitutional amendment, a daunting task that faces steep hurdles in both houses of Congress. However, the president has signaled his intention to pursue this issue through executive action, potentially setting up a showdown with the judicial branch. Critics argue that ending birthright citizenship would have far-reaching consequences. They say it would create a class of stateless children, erode a fundamental American right, and further complicate the already complex issue of immigration reform. They also question the legality of ending birthright citizenship through executive action, arguing that it would require a constitutional amendment. The president's executive orders on immigration have plunged the nation into a familiar battleground. Legal challenges are already underway, with civil rights groups denouncing the moves as unconstitutional and inhumane. They argue that the orders discriminate against immigrants, violate due process, and exceed the president's authority. The debate over immigration policy is likely to rage on, further dividing an already polarized nation. The economic impact of these policies is also a subject of intense scrutiny. Critics warn of labor shortages, particularly in industries like agriculture, that rely heavily on immigrant labor. They argue that restricting immigration will stifle economic growth and harm businesses. Supporters counter that enforcing immigration laws is crucial for protecting American jobs and wages. They argue that reducing illegal immigration will boost the economy by freeing up resources and creating opportunities for American workers. They also believe that a more secure border is essential for national security and public safety. The president's actions have ignited a national conversation about immigration, identity, and the meaning of American citizenship. The outcome of this debate will have profound consequences for the nation's future. Only time will tell what the ultimate impact of these policies will be, but one thing is certain: the issue of immigration will continue to shape the political landscape for years to come.